Oh, hey, I see some people on the ZVK. What's up, Zach? Thank you for my sister for being the first one to join. Yeah, I'm gonna do the shout out at the beginning. I'm learning to do more, different ways of using the Facebook Live, and I find that if I do shout outs along the way, I end up losing time, or misusing the time. What's up, Troy? All right, all right, Black. And so what I'll do is we'll start, in less than 1 minute. We'll be starting at 12 on the dot. And but what I say is I want to make sure that I keep to the content of the session and get that through, because I realize that this time of day some people are on their lunch, and so we want to still give them time to continue to have their lunch and make it through. All right, so we got less than a minute to go. Dougie Fresh is on at 6. We on in less than a minute. All right, but thank y'all for joining. Yeah, I'm looking at the clock here. All right, here we go. And then of course this is going to be taped in the archives, as well as I'm going to post it to YouTube, because I've got the kick of doing that now. Hey, John. Oh man, dialing in from Africa, y'all. That's the blessing. See the guy that says John Luke, coming to us from Africa. So we are truly global in this presentation, in this family, and that's what it's about. So welcome to Glue Wednesday, and I call it Glue for first-time people who may be joining us. Troy, I see this your first time, but also someone could be looking at the broadcast. I call it Glue because a lot of times people call Wednesday Hump Day. And to me, I'm very word sensitive, and so to me, Hump Day gives the impression that we have to get over, and I'm okay with that. But I like to play with words, and I'd rather see glue at Wednesday instead of a need to get over, a need to recognize that without Wednesday we have incomplete, because we have an incomplete week. Wednesday is the day that pulls the week together. It pulls the end of the week and the beginning of the week together. So that's why I call it Glue Wednesday, because it pulls it together. And of course, for my acronym use, I got GLUE standing for GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Not that it tears things apart, but that it brings the things that are torn apart. God's love will glue and bring those things back together. I'm gonna give some shout outs because I got a lot of some first timers there. Good to see you, George Moss, my boy Rick Irvin coming out of Indiana, George Homeboy in New York, Marcelo, man. Okay, so that's all the shout outs until I get through, okay, because I want to use your 30 minutes wisely. But so our topic today is failure. Do we fail? Yeah, we do. We fail. But that doesn't always signal the end. The key is to reframe, reassess, and redirect your focus. And we can do that just in the words that we speak into our spirits, because that's the key. We have to recognize everything we say, whatever words we use, we speak those into our spirit. Think about how when you compliment a child, as well as when you get a compliment, but take it to where you've seen it the reaction when you tell a child that you're proud of them, or when you're cheering for them to do well. You can see how it really boosts them and makes them feel good. That's because we speak the words into our spirits. And likewise, we need to hear the words that we're saying, because when we say, I'm stupid, see, a lot of times we do a lot of negative self-talk. Oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. We're telling ourselves that we're failures. We're lowering our own standards. How often do you say, man, I'm the best. I got this thing together. And we do say it, but say it more. That's my point. Say it more. I say it consistently. And what we'll see is that the true and the deepest failure is in losing focus on who we are. The biggest failure is when you try to be someone else. Because see, when you try to be someone else, then you compete against that person's standards when you actually have no idea what it took for them to get where they are. So number one thing, if you want to be successful, be yourself. We hear it all the time. Well, let's hear it again, and let's say it more, and let's understand what it means. You have to be yourself to be successful. Every time you try to be someone else, you will fail. Because the key is you don't know what that person was willing to sacrifice to get where they are. And I did a post the other day, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but please remember that success does not equate to money. There is a category called monetary success. So you make that distinction when you're talking about success. But do not automatically think that success means that you have money. Because some of the, as they say, some of the most successful people are, are miserable and they have money. But there's so many people who may not have money or material resources, but they're successful because they're. I'm one of them. A lot of people say, "Oh, Sporty, you're so successful." I think I've told y'all in the past, my year has started off as a famine year. I'm moving into my jubilee. But my year started off as a famine, where my money wasn't working right. But you have never seen me mope and complain on Fussbook, which is what I call Facebook, because I feel good about who I am and the path that I'm on. I don't lose sight of who I am. That is when you will fail, when you lose sight of who you are. Even the saying says that you have to see yourself as a failure. Think about that. See, if someone tells you you're a failure, that doesn't bother you. You have to see yourself as a failure for it to be a negative thing, because you accept that negativity. One of the best ways to stay positive, and BF, by the way, I'm not positive 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'm not, and I don't think it's possible. But I'm up more than I'm down. I'm positive more than I'm negative. I'm going forward more than I'm going backwards. That's where you need to focus. Just recognize you can't always be positive, but you can't stay in that negativity. We have 5 times more negative impulses in our lives than we do positive. So you've got to find ways to grasp onto the positivity, focus on it, and bring it into you, but then let it come out through you, because it's about you. It's not about the other people. It's about you. So that's the way to find the positivity and keep it. So what I've done is I've taken FAIL. I've got in 2 acronyms, actually. The first one is FAIL, F-A-I-L. Faith activated in loss. Faith activated in loss. In other words, once you fail, or once you don't get something right, it activates your faith, because you say, "Oh, I got to do it again. I'm not giving up on myself." So it means, faith activated in loss will move us to FAIL, follow and inhale the Lord. Follow and inhale the Lord. I'm always going to have a spiritual touch to anything that I do. My spirituality is very important to me. And if someone asks me not to talk about my spirituality, then I will not be speaking with that person for long. And that's not a negative thing. Someone who will ask you to repress your spirituality, your faith, so that they can feel good about theirs, that's really not the way to go. Because conversely, would you ask them, are you asking them to deny who they believe in and what their faith is? Now, if we are both going to decide, okay, neither one of us is going to believe in who we believe in, now we can have a friendship and a conversation, where's the conversation going? You cannot let go of your spirituality and what you believe in, because it's gotten you this far. So you have to be what you actually are. You have to be what you actually are. See, I know who I am. And what you are is a walking, talking testimony of strength and resiliency. You are a walking, talking testimony of strength and resiliency. Now look, I'm going to name some things, but what I want you to do is type in some of the things that you've experienced already, that maybe you have labeled yourself as failing at. Type in some of the things. I'm going to go slow as I name them, but I want you to type some of them in. But so here's some of the things. We've all failed at riding a bicycle for the first time. We've all failed in romantic relationships. We've all failed in job and business relationships. So type in some of those things that you consider that people have failed in, or that you have failed in, as I go down my list. And I'm going to go slow so that we can see if I catch any of the ones that you're actually typing down. What have you failed in, or do you see somebody else having failed in? Okay, I think we've also failed a test. And see, that's what I'm saying. As you look at these things that are considered failures, you recognize that they were actually signs of your resiliency, because you may have failed a test, but that didn't make you give up school. And that didn't make you dumb and stupid. You may have failed at making a sports team. Maybe you didn't make the team this year. Well, does that mean that you're not a good player? No, that means that there were 10 other players, if it's a 10-man roster, who happen to be better than you that day. Now your skills can come up and you can get better. But the truth is that the team is not always made up, by the way, of the best players. The team is made up of the best energy for that team. It's the, this is why I'm a Spurs fan. I see Kenneth just joined, but that's the Spurs. There's a synergy about being on the Spurs. They don't necessarily have the best players in the NBA, plural, but they have a system. And so sometimes you make the team based on whether or not you fit into the system. When I worked at the Wall Street Journal and I was an advertising manager, when I had to hire salespeople, I didn't necessarily look for the best candidate. What I looked for was the candidate that would fit best in what I already had established in the culture in my department. That makes a difference. If you bring the wrong person into your department, it could ruin the spirit in your department and the energy, and that can make things bad. So you don't always have to be the best player, but you have to be the best fit for what's there already, and that's something we need to be conscious of. We've also all failed at making the first time doing most of the things that we've tried. We failed at it. Some have failed what they consider failing at being a parent. But how do you really fail at parenting when children don't come with the rule book? See, you have to tell yourself that you're a failure. And really, you know what, where I grew up, and I see a lot of my homies on there from the projects. See, the projects gets a bad name in the media. And we look at the, people that are on drugs and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that their parents were a failure, by the way. Their road was destined to do what it had to do. Maybe there was something that we don't know about. And so, I always send out a joke to people when I forget something. I say, hey, the years of drug use catch up with you. I did my share of drugs, And so I always laugh. I told my niece and nephew once, I said, look, on the books, I'm dead. Because of the stuff that I've done and what the media says it does to you and the progression that you're supposed to take toward full drug addiction and then a life of crime and all that stuff, I should be out of here. But I'm not, because I'm resilient. I understood that any drug that I tried, what I used to say to myself is, if it stops me from being who I am, I'll never do the drug again. And that's just something that I was able to maintain. And it goes the same with liquor. It goes the same with smoking cigarettes. Anything that took me out of being who I am, or what my definition of who Sporty was, I didn't do it anymore. I just cut it, and not necessarily cold turkey. I just cut it down. Okay? But so don't consider yourself a failure at being a parent. Recognize that you're doing the best you can. Some people have failed at public speaking. Some people have failed at reading. Some people have failed at climbing a mountain. Love your honesty. I thought you would say destiny. That's it. Some people have failed only because they wanted to be someone else. So please recognize that you are not a failure. You are a walking, how did I say that? Because I came a walking, living testimony of strength and resiliency. We all know somebody that died at birth, at 1, at 5, at 10, 15. And we know some tragic things have happened. So again, give yourself credit for how you've managed to stay alive. And that's what success is all about. Look at your track record. This is one of my favorite sayings. Look at your track record, not your lack record. And what I decided to do with that is take that a little further. When you look at track and lack, the first letter is T in track, and the first letter in lack is L. So the T is not just your track record, it's your trust record. Who do you trust? How have you trusted? And have you trusted yourself? And the L is, instead of lack, it's for lesson. Because you learn something from whatever you did or whatever you failed or fell short. You learned something. So look at your track record for who you trusted, and look at your lack record for the lessons that you gained, so that you can continue to be this walking, talking, and living monument of testimony and strength. So I want to read a poem to you that I wrote back in, when did I write this one? In 2010, and it's called Going to Leaving. Talking about failure, going to leaving. Today I decided to see myself leaving. For so often I focus on where I'm going. In the process, I was able to see much was behind me. You see, sometimes going, I anticipated how difficult my climb would be as I visually measured the imposing mountains, fearlessly daring me to come closer. Now, leaving, I see them minimize and disappear. The deers transform to immobilized stares as they become jealous at my freedom. Smaller and smaller, my challenges seem to hide and vanish and rewind into the harmless options they are. For I could always choose another way to leave. Surely going will be less of a challenge tomorrow. See, so a lot of times, we're setting our goals and we say, well, I'm going to do this. And so I'm just saying, sometimes you know what, I'm leaving to do this. Because when we say we're going to do something, we set a goal, and sometimes we make it a monumental goal, and it could be an unrealistic goal and tough for us to maintain or to reach, and that's where we decide to label ourselves as a failure. So maybe if we can focus on what we're leaving, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's what propels us toward that goal. We can minimize the magnitude of the goal by focusing on what we're leaving. And I'm not saying focus on your past, because you focus on your past and what you do wrong, then that's what you give power to. But I'm saying, if I'm saying I'm going to stop smoking, instead of saying I'm going to stop smoking in 30 days, I can say, well, you know what? I just stopped smoking for a day. Yeah, I just left it. I just stopped smoking for 2 days. See, so sometimes look at what you're leaving behind and look how much better you feel about what you're doing and where you're going. And that's going to help you get there a lot sooner. I also did a post on Facebook that said enough is an individual experience. Enough, that's enough, is an individual experience. To truly know our limits, we must first know who we're trying to please. So you need to know who you're trying to please so that you can know if you're at enough or not. It may sound a little backwards, yet we've all done it. It's the same as being sure not to put yourself in a compromising situation or environment rather than letting someone else tell you that you can handle it. So the key is you got to know when it's enough for you. And I know we got personal trainers out there and stuff like that, and you may have that who says, no, you can do one more, but sometimes you can't do one more. Know yourself. And I'm not knocking personal training and certainly not knocking fitness, because I'm trying to be a lot more fit myself. But you have to know when enough is. Your trainer, your coach, your teacher, your parent, their job is to ask you to push yourself a little further. But at some point, you have to become the coach. It's just like they say, grasshopper has grabbed the pebble. Sometimes you have to become the coach of your coach and let them know, okay, here's how far I can go. That's not going to hurt them. That's going to help them do a better job of putting together a plan for your next exercise and workout. So you have to know when enough is enough, because it's an individual experience. And a lot of times people say, well, I give 110%. Bulletin, I believe we only have 100%. I don't fabricate words. I'm very word sensitive. You only have 100% to give every single day. And sometimes your 100% is not the same as it was yesterday. Your 100% may not get you there today, and it might get you there tomorrow. We look at the sports teams, and I like sports analogies as well, but look at nobody's going undefeated in basketball. And even though teams in football have had an undefeated season, there's no such thing as an undefeated franchise. And what do they say? Well, this week I just didn't have it. Because they got to get up for the game every time. And that's the same thing we do in life. We got to get up for the game every time. We got to get up for life every time. And some days we just don't have it all. Maybe it's based on something we ate. Maybe it's based on the amount of rest we got. There's plenty of maybes, but why focus on the maybes? Just go on and recognize that, today my 100%, this is what you're going to get from my 100 today. And it's just like when people say, keep it 100. Well, keep it 100. Give the best that you can give every day and to every moment. And that, my friends, is what success is about. Again, remember I said it's not all monetary success is a category. Success is giving all of you, all that you have to do, and you have to give. And you know what enough is, just how much you can give. And see, what I do is I write my goals. I have a 1-3-5 formula that I use to write my goals. And I give myself the flexibility to never consider myself as falling short. I never consider myself as falling short. I have a 1, 3, 5, and I'm going to explain it. What I do is I reassess and I redirect. And usually at the 3-year spot, and not by the way, my 1, 3, 5 is in years, but you can always do it in months as well. But the reason I use a 1, 3, 5 in my years is because what I've found in my experience in relocating and in moving up in my career moves, when I move from sales to supervisor, etc., I find that it takes 3 years to change a situation if you're in a leadership position. You see, the first year, people are hating on you, even if subconsciously, because nobody's know, well, why they put them in that spot? I think they should have given that promotion to such and such. I think they should have given the promotion to me. So they're a little bit, and then some people, oh, they're here to clean us out, what's going to happen? So there's a lot of fear and trepidation when you first come into a spot of leadership where it seems that you have leaped over somebody else who was a favorite. So that you don't get full cooperation. That 100% I was talking about, you don't get that your first year from your coworkers and your subordinates. The second year, they see, wait a minute, he's pretty cool. And then, by the way, this is what happened to me. Okay, the second year they could see, oh, wait a minute, he's kind of cool. He's not here to clean out the house and fire everybody. And yeah, I can see why they moved him into the spot. Remember I told you that it's not always the best player, but it's the best fit? I can see why they moved him in the spot. He fits well with what we've got. And now I think, yeah, I think some of his ideas are workable. Maybe I'll give them a try. So guess what now? The third year, they like, man, let me support this dude. I like what he's doing. I like where we're going. He's made me feel good about myself. My skills have gone up because guess what? People's focus is on what you do for them. And it should be. Your focus should be on what you do for you and what people can do for you. And so therefore, they start to see that I'm there. I was there to help them, not hinder them. And now that year 3, it's like we're a well-oiled machine. We work and say, okay, man, yeah, let's work this together. We got a group goal here, and let's make it work. So that's why I think the third year is the key year for you in any leadership position. And that's why that's my reassessment year. And so after 3 years, and here's how it actually worked with me, okay? With Wall Street Journal, when I moved from Washington to Chicago as a sales manager, I had decided in my mind that I was just going to be there 5 years. But after 3 years, I reassessed it, and I said, okay, nope, it's 3 years. They've turned around. I can't get this where I wanted in another 2 years. So what I did is now I added another 5 years to my stay. So now I'm at 8, actually, but I'm still using the 1, 3, 5 formula. So after 3 years, I added a 5. After 5 years, I reassessed and added a new 3 because I saw that where I was, I said, no, this is not it. I'm going to add a new 3. And so I had now a new 3-year plan. And then that pattern went on of me doing 3s and 5s until 2009 when I decided to those are the reassessments. In 2009, I decided to redirect. And when I do my redirect, I use a 1. And I use that 1 as a decision to relocate to Charlotte in 2009. And in 2010, I moved. That's how I do my goals. Now, I'm in the second year. I've been here 7 years. I'm in the second year of my reassessed 3. And in July, I'll give it another 1, to start a new 3 or 5. Because I know I won't be here where my original 3 planned. See, my original 5 is gone, and I did well with my original 5. I made a new 3-year plan of where I wanted to be. In July, when my 7-year anniversary of my second year of my 3-year plan is not going to be where I want it to be. So I'm going to now change that and make it a new 3 or a new 5. It's up to me. But one of the things I always laugh about is as we make plans, I recognize that I'm not on the planning committee. I'm on the implementation crew. Only God is on the planning committee. They say when we make plans, God laughs. So I'm on the implementation crew, and so are you. So go on and make some plans, but recognize that the plans are going to reassess or redirect. And that's not because you're failing. That's because you're going along with the cycle of what was put here specifically to happen in your life, not somebody else's life. So recognize that, I start to come down here. I never fail. Never. I find ways to finish using that F. I don't fail, I finish. See, I reassess and I redirect. I close out my ones, my threes, and my five. I reassess them and I redirect because now I'm starting to finish what I started. And then I fulfill. Another F, I fulfill because I have personal satisfaction of how far I've come. When I hit my anniversary, my 7-year anniversary in July, and like I say, it's my 2nd year into my 3-year plan, I'm not going to say I failed. I'm going to celebrate how far I came. I said, wow, because now I got a better idea of what a 3-year plan should look like with my new state of mind and where I am with my new life. That's what it's about. Every day it's a new life. And then the last F is ferment. I'm going to ferment. And ferment is what? Patience. When we think about fermenting, we think about, wine or liquids, and sometimes we even think about mold on food. Okay, but fermenting is patience. And that's what we need to have, is we need to have a lot of patience with ourselves. Keep forgiving yourself. That's another F. When you fail, forgive yourself and recognize that you are now faith activated in law. See, you have to believe in yourself and have that patience and say, okay, this didn't come out the way I wanted to. So now I'm going to regroup and get it going in a different way. That's also why I specifically wore this shirt for this broadcast, the Tuskegee Airmen, as we just finished celebrating Memorial Day. And I like to make sure that I educate people because I'm working with the military. And we have 3 major celebrations of our military a year. Memorial Day is a celebration for those who lost their lives in battle. So, as much as sometimes we say Happy Memorial Day, I like to say have a safe Memorial Day. Because I think Memorial is remembering those who lost their lives. And then the other day is the one that tends to get confused with more so than anything else is Veterans Day, which is November 11th. By the way, Memorial Day is always the last Monday in May. Veterans Day is November 11th. It's the second Monday. No, it's November. It's the 11th of every November, and that's for veterans. Those are people who are living and they have served and they're retired from the military now. So they are the veterans, and we're celebrating veterans on Veterans Day. So definitely happy Veterans Day when that hits. And now come back to May. What May, a lot of people don't know, the 2nd Saturday of every May starts Armed Forces Week. And it culminates on the 3rd Saturday, which is Armed Forces Day. And that's the week that we use to celebrate those who are currently serving in our military. So again, those are the 3 different ones. Memorial Day is for those who have lost their lives. Veterans Day, those who are still alive and who did fight or who were in the military and did not lose their lives. And Armed Forces Day, week and day is for those who are currently serving. And so again, we know history about the Tuskegee Airmen. That's why I wore that, because a lot of them have to be celebrated on Memorial Day, and certainly some are still alive on Veterans Day, but absolutely there are none who are getting Armed Forces Day. Find ways and make sure that you're celebrating our military appropriately, because they don't get too caught up in the politics that sometimes we enjoy as a freedom that we got from our military. And I say enjoy because people like posting the negativity and their opinions about what's going on in our political system, past, present, and future. That's a right that we gain through our military. And again, don't get picky. That's not, that they're not solely responsible. They're not fighting for us to have political rights, but they, in a sense, they are. They were, and they still are, because that's the freedom that we enjoy here in America. So make sure you honor our service members properly. I absolutely do. I am going to be gone. Like I said, I'm going into a season of Jubilee, and so that June is for Jubilee. I will not be here to follow the next 2 Wednesdays. I will be back with Glue Wednesday on June 21st, which is the day before I become a twin with my sister, whose birthday is June 22nd. And we're called Irish twins because I'm born in August, and then she's born 10 months later in June. So from June to August, we'll be the same age. But June 21st will be my next broadcast for Glue Wednesday. So I thank you for coming on board, making sure that you keep it together. Remember, it's about keeping it together. And you will never fail, never, when you focus on being yourself. You're going to have setbacks, y'all, but it's going to give you the chance to reassess and redirect. And that's what it's all about. God bless you, and I wish you much success, and keep praying for me so that my jubilance starts to boil over, and we'll work everything out, all right? God bless you. Over and out. Ciao. Okay, I got 2 minutes or less than 2. I'm going to go down here and see who's on. I can give some shout outs. What's up, Lynette? My mother told his brother is one of these. Thank you for his service, Lynette. Thank you. Hey, Victoria. Oh, wow, long time. Say hello to the kids for me, all right? Tiana, oh my God. You know what? I just spoke to Gerard. What's the teacher's last name that introduced me to your class? But anyway, Walker. Just talk to him the other day. See how they come. Medina, good to see you. Love to catch up with you on Instagram a lot there. Pat Patcha, I hear you. Hey, that's my Toastmasters friend. Hooker, what's up, Hooker? Man, good to see you. Oh, neighborhood checking in. That's one of good basketball players from our block. Thank you for representing. And then right behind that, Eric Book. I like what you're doing, what you try to preserve stuff for the Boys and Girls Club. And people, I'm going to repost that on my site as well. Sherry Goodman, thank you for what you're doing with helping people get their lives together at Failings. Kwame, Mr. Zet, like to call you to eat it, man, because I know you always talk about food, but love you, brother. Good to see you. David Clover. Wow, David, good. Now there's a new person. It's good to see you, and I'll figure out who you are and then send you a blessing and thank you. Thanks for coming on board. Keena, glad we finally re-hooked up. Love you, and you know I love your family as well. Is that okay? Good, David. And Dave, forgive my memory. You know, like I said, you know, the drug use catches up. But I know who you are. What's up, Pito? All right. And Kenneth, I already gave you the shout on our Spurs. Kamathi, always good to see you again, nephew. I'm glad you're doing that. What's up, Kelly? Man, another first time. But I know you do the Bronx, do the Kango. Hey, Linda, thank you. And I've been enjoying following what's going on with our grown-up, with Miss Chadwick, Brittany. Uh-oh. I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. But you know I know who I'm talking about. All right. And what's up, Barbara Jeanette, my girl? Hey. Cello, I talked to you. Africa, we got. And all is well. So those are the shout-outs, y'all. And I know I went fast, but I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you for being a fan. Oh, okay. Thank you, David. Thank you for that clarifying. But I was saying I wasn't sure if I met you through the Yellow Ribbon or how. And hey, Baguette, you came on to make sure that we get off, okay? What's up, Tommy? Same for you. Thank y'all. God bless, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Stay safe. All right. Ciao.